I ranked every spread move in Pokemon from worst to best. Some of these are among the greatest moves in Pokemon, while others shock me to learn they deal spread damage. Spread moves usually act like any other move in single battles, but work differently in double battles. They will target both opposing Pokemon while dealing 75% of the original damage as a balancing mechanic. We aren't including moves like Earthquake and Discharge in this video, as they also target allies. We'll save that for another video, so save your comments of me missing those moves. But you will definitely want to see this stacked top 20 full of elite moves. I will be ranking these based on competitive viability and general usefulness in double battles, so I am including VGC play and Smogon doubles tiers, as well as in-game to an extent. There are moves that haven't really had a shot to be used in VGC, like signature moves of Mythicals, so I want to try and keep this ranking on an even playing field. Aspects like typing, utility, and power will be factored in, while distribution will not factor too much into the equation besides maybe signature moves. This is already a super complicated list to make. I don't want to get into semantics too much. So grab a snack, buckle down, and get ready for a wild one, buds. Here we go. Coming in the lowest spots, we have some pretty trash moves. We'll put the move Captivate in the last spot at number 61. This move would be a lot higher on the list if it wasn't so unreliable. It lowers the target's special attack by 2 stages, but also requires the target to be of the opposite gender. This makes the move unpredictable in most scenarios. For it to be useful, you need to first be going up against a special attacker, and then have them be the opposite gender. Genderless Pokemon, and ones with the ability Oblivious, are also immune to it, so I think competitively this move is too unreliable to be considered. In spot 60, we get to Razor Wind. Yep, in a list with starter 40 base power moves, Razor Wind is still below them. It's a 2-turn move where the user charges on the first turn and is vulnerable to any other attack. It hits with the normal typing on the second turn for a whopping 80 base power. This move has a high crit ratio, which I guess is cool. It's a terrible move still, averaging 40 base power if you count for the charging turn. I don't recommend using it on a team that wants to win games. Next up, number 59, we see the move Acid. This is a weak 40 base power poison type spread attack. It is here because the offensive typing isn't super useful, and its 10% chance to lower Spadef is nothing enticing. And it actually got nerfed from Gen 1 when it had a 1 in 3 shot to lower defense. Just above Acid in spot 58, we have Bubble. It has essentially the same properties as Acid, but hits with the better water typing and has a 10% chance to lower speed. This is outclassed by other water type spread moves, but okay for an early game situation, I guess. Coming in 57th place, we have Disarming Voice. Another base 40 move, this time rocking the solid fairy typing. It actually has decent utility as it bypasses accuracy checks to always hit. It is also a sound-based move, meaning it hits through substitutes and activates the item Throat Spray. I would much rather this move over Razor Wind on my mons, no joke. In spot 56, we'll put Venom Drench. It lowers attack, special attack, and speed of any poison foes. This would be a really solid move if it could be used at any time, but requiring the foes to be poisoned makes the move very situational. You can definitely pair this with Glamora for a more reliable way to get this move to work, but in doubles, you likely don't want to spend turns setting up T-Spikes, so you'd have to manually poison foes with a move like Poison Gas, one we'll see a bit higher on the list. Back to an attacking move in spot 55, we have Twister. It is a bit higher than those other base 40 moves due to having a nice 20% chance to flinch. Dragon typing is decent offensively, although it lacks many super effective hits. The flinch chance is definitely what would give it any reason to be used. Pair a fast Twister user with a fast Rock Slide mon, and you have a decent gimmick. In spot 54, we see the classic Gen 1 move Swift. Swift is at that sweet 60 base power for all the great technician users out there. It never misses as well, which foils those minimize strategies. It's a move that could be decent in a playthrough, but doesn't have much competitive viability. It could be used as an anti-evasion and pretty strong move on a technician Persian set, but it would still be outclassed by Hyper Voice most of the time. Next at spot 53, we're going to move on to Shell Trap. Now I've trashed this move a few times on the channel, but it's more because I do like the concept, but I'm not a fan of the execution. It's a really strong move at 150 base power, and it's pretty cool in doubles as it can make Turtonator act faster than usual, despite technically being a negative priority move. The move would definitely be more usable if it activated when hit by any attack, instead of just physical ones. The trap activating before Fake Out would make it a solid move on an inner focus mon, or I guess paired with Covert Cloak now. It may not be the best signature move, but I still put its viability a bit ahead of the moves we've seen just far, based on its solid hitting power. Moving on to moves that might be a little more practical, we have some stat lowering moves. In spot 52, we have Tail Whip. This move is usually one you get rid of right away in a playthrough, but its effect of lowering both targets' defense by one stage actually isn't too bad. What I have above Tail Whip in spot 51 is the much cooler Leer. It has the same effect as Tail Whip, lowering defense, but its animation is so much cooler. Plus a handful of Prankster users have Leer for priority defense dropping, while Tail Whip doesn't have any Prankster boosting potential, so a slight edge to Leer here. Next up at spot 50, we have Growl. This lowers the target's attack by one stage. With Intimidate being so great, why shouldn't you use it in a move form that bypasses a lot of the abilities that are immune to Intimidate? This is also a sound-based move, meaning it can keep those nasty substitute attack boosters at a standstill. At spot 49, the last basic attacking move we see is Powder Snow. This 40 base power ice type move sports a great offensive typing that hits a lot of common types 4 times effectively. It also has the best secondary effect of these weaker moves with a 10% chance to freeze. Not a very high chance, but with 100% accuracy and a chance to freeze each target, it could come in clutch and save you in theory. This next move is one I think people are sleeping on. Coming in at 48, it's the move Sweet Scent. This move is mostly known for its field effects, but as a Generation 6, it has been buffed to lower the target's evasiveness by 2 stages. This makes your less accurate moves either guaranteed or much more likely to hit. With accuracy boosting moves being pretty uncommon, this method of making sure your moves hit could be sneakily solid. You can run higher power moves with low accuracy or niche status moves that you wouldn't normally risk. If more support or prankster mons had access, I wouldn't be surprised to see some people running it. It still gets outclassed by a lot of other status moves though. On to the next tier of moves, we're getting into some decent ones you probably still won't see competitively. Don't worry, we're almost at the solid moves. At spot 47, I have Incinerate, a weaker fire type move that has a secondary effect of burning up any berries the target is holding. It is mostly just outclassed by the stronger fire type spread moves, but its effect is unique, giving it a potential niche against berry holders. I guess this is also the best time to mention I'm not including Flame Burst on this list, as it does some splash damage, but only really targets one slot. We're going to cut to spot 46 with Razor Leaf. Razor Leaf is a physical grass type spread move with 55 base power. It has 95% accuracy and a high crit ratio. It's a decent move in playthroughs, but lacks a bit of stopping power, even with critical hits. I want to see a physical grass type with sharpness added to bring this move to life in doubles. I feel like it just misses the cut of being a viable move. In spot 45, we have Air Cutter. Air Cutter is a similar move to Razor Leaf, it just edges it out a bit in power and typing. With 60 base power and a high crit ratio, it can be a niche spread option on flying types with limited coverage. Flying has some decent super effective hits, and this is the only spread attack for them that isn't a signature move. Next up in spot 44, I have the move Heal Block. This move hasn't been present since Generation 7, but its effect is preventing opposing Pokemon from using most HP recovery moves and attacks, including trying to heal an ally with Pollen Puff. It also prevents abilities and items that recover HP from activating. This effect lasts for 5 turns and sounds like a great option for stopping heal spam. We don't see it that often in doubles however, as the ability to double target into a bulky mon would usually outdamage any healing. It can just be a useless move slot in a lot of matchups, plus Taunt or Encore are usually just as good of a move to prevent heal spam and have so many other applications, including actually blocking Leech Seed, which Heal Block only prevents the healing aspect of it. The opportunity cost of this move nowadays would be even less worth it, with Psychic Noise filling its role while adding damage. This next move is one I had a hard time ranking. At number 43, we have Dark Void. On one hand, the history of this move makes it so great, but with its nerf, it is never seen nowadays, and it's been bad for about as long as it's been good. This, now 50% accurate move, puts both targets to sleep. Smeargle loved to use it when it was 80% accurate, but now it will just fail if the user isn't Darkrai. You still have a pretty good shot at hitting at least one target, which makes it an okay move, and you can use strategies like Gravity or the aforementioned Sweet Scent to make it more likely to land, but it has definitely fell off a cliff from what it once was. Next up in spot 43, we have a move you will never see in competitive singles, but is actually pretty decent in doubles. Here we see Poison Gas. This poisons opposing mons and has 90% accuracy. It can be argued regular poison is just as good, if not better than Toxic in fast-paced doubles matches. The first 2 turns of poison damage will out-damage Toxic, and there are no moves that can badly poison both opponents at once. But this also can be used to synergize with other moves. You power up Hex and Venoshock to 130 base power, and I guess you can use Venom Drench if you want to go that route with your team. It also dissuades Protect spam as you're consistently losing a good chunk of HP. Overall, it's a decent, but not great move. In spot 41, we see the move Cotton Spore. In spot 40, we have String Shot. These moves have the same effect of lowering the target speed stat by 2 stages. Pretty damn solid actually, but they both do have small flaws. As a Spore move, Cotton Spore has common counters, not working against Grass-type Pokemon, Overcoat users, or ones holding the item Safety Goggles. String Shot has 95% accuracy, which isn't as big a downside, but still is a bit riskier since 95% in Pokemon definitely doesn't feel as reliable as it should. I put String Shot a little bit higher since I'd rather take the small accuracy drop than being ineffective against a whole type in a decently common item and ability. Inside the top 40 at spot 39, we have Relic Song. I didn't exactly know where to place this since Meloetta isn't the best competitively and doesn't have much doubles exposure. But it has solid enough power to be usable, and a 10% sleep chance gives you a shot to change the game if your luck is on. Although Hyper Voice, a move we'll see a bit later, would be the preferred option of Meloetta with its higher power. I go over Relic Song a bit more in this video about high BST Pokemon who aren't good competitively. One of the last moves we had before getting into moves that would be good to use competitively is number 38, Burning Jealousy. This is like the bridge between the niche moves and the good ones. At 70 base power and 100% accuracy, this move can be used if you don't want to risk a Heat Wave miss. It has a pretty cool secondary effect of guaranteeing a burn on a foe who has had a stat raise in the same turn. You can predict a setup, use your other mon to increase a foe's stat with moves like Flatter or Swagger, or use it as a counter against abilities like Download, Defiant, and Competitive. It is a solid enough move to consider and can synergize with a decent amount of strategies to get a consistent burn on opponents. On to spot 37, we'll see Land's Wrath. This move definitely does not have a spot on any Zygarde sets anymore. While it is by far the worst signature move of Zygarde, it is still a solid move if it was your main option. A 90 base power spread ground type attack that doesn't target your teammate is a great EQ alternative. It's just too bad this move has 0 positives over Zygarde's other base 90 physical ground type spread attacks, which is weird that they gave it 3 of those. I still feel it is more viable than the moves I went over though. Swimming to the next pick, in spot 36, we see Muddy Water. A hit or miss move depending on who you're talking to. At 90 base power and 85% accuracy, this move has a solid 30% chance to lower each foe's accuracy by 1 stage. This is slightly lower if you factor in the miss chance, but it is still a solid option if you don't want to run Surf, which also hits your allies. An accuracy drop can be clutch, and if you hit both foes, there's a decent chance you grab one. Remember, Scald Burns, Moonblast drops, and Focus Blast missing are also 30% chances. There aren't too many mons who choose to run this move over better ones, but it still has had enough impact competitively to be up here. Spot 35 sees a signature move introduced in Legends Arceus. This is Springtide Storm, the signature move of Enamorus. The upsides of this move are the solid 100 base power and a great fairy typing. This is coupled with a solid 30% chance to lower the foe's attack by 1 stage. The downsides are the shaky 80% accuracy that comes with this move. If for some reason it's the only one that doesn't receive perfect accuracy in the rain and has half the PP the others do. In doubles, it is usually preferred to spam Moonblast for its reliability, but it's still solid enough to be used and has some benefits over Dazzling Gleam. Spot 34, we have a move you likely never seen competitively. This is Zygarde's Core Enforcer, a special dragon type signature spread move. When you look at it, this would be used on pretty much any other special attacking dragon type in doubles modes. 100 base power, 100 accuracy, nullifies the target's abilities until they switch out if Core Enforcer is used after they move. They just decided to put it on a Mon who leans a lot more into physical attacks. It is an underrated move for sure, as the only place you see it used is in balanced Hackmons, as it is the most reliable dragon type attack without drawbacks. But it being a signature move and never seen has me hesitant to put it any higher. In spot 33, we have the top non-signature normal type move on the list in Hyper Voice. Hyper Voice is a pretty straightforward move. 90 base power, no secondary effect, and sound base giving it some good utility. It is a really reliable move and very commonly used on normal types for stab to get off some decent damage. Some other mons like Sylveon and Primarina can change it into their stab attacks as well thanks to their abilities, so it perhaps gets even better usage in that regard. Spot 32 sees our second Genie signature move. This time it's Sandsear's Storm. This is the signature move of Landorus. It has 100 base power and 80 accuracy like the other Storm moves. This ground type move doesn't check accuracy in the rain and sports a pretty solid 20% chance to burn the targets. This is a pretty decent chance to burn, and this move can be really solid in the rain. Landorus itself wouldn't get these burns as it has sheer force, but it is powered up nicely just for having that secondary effect. It isn't the most reliable outside of rain, and you'll see a lot more earth powers from Landorus, but it is a nice special ground spread move that gets a lot of super effective hits and worth packing on most Landorus sets. At 31, we have Struggle Bug. While it isn't quite as strong as the previous few attacks at 50 base power, it provides some pretty great utility. This move will lower the special attack stat of both targets by 1 stage in addition to dealing damage. A pretty solid utility move that has the benefit of not being inaccurate like the more popular Snarl. It loses out against Snarl solely due to typing, as the bug type is tied for being resisted by the most types, so it usually would be good for the special attack drop. Snarl has a far better offensive typing and 5 more base power, which will put it higher on this list. At spot 30, we have a more recent move that has been gaining some traction competitively in Breaking Swipe. This base 60 dragon type move lowers each foe's attack by 1 stage. This is pretty solid damage to go along with a great effect as you make the user and ally bulkier on the physical side. It's better on faster mons who can get the attack off first to reap the benefits, but maybe the most popular user is Gouging Fire, who can become extremely bulky with assistance from this move. In spot number 29, I'm actually going to put Overdrive here. This is Toxtricity's signature move. It has a solid 80 base power, 100 accuracy, and the pretty nice electric typing. This move is particularly good on Toxtricity thanks to its punk rock ability. This boosts all sound-based moves by 50%, and Overdrive is one of them. It can hit for substitutes and activate Throat Spray. All around, it's a nice spammable move that only really has trouble with ground types. Another signature move arrives in the 28th spot with Komodo's Clanging Scales. At 110 base power and 100 accuracy, this solid move finds itself inside the top 30. If it wasn't for the defense drop side effect that happens when this move lands, I think it could edge itself near the top 25, but that downside hurts as it makes Komodo more vulnerable to physical attacks and priority. This being a sound-based move is nice to hit behind subs, and Komodo can run a nice Throat Spray set. It might not be the best doubles mon, but this move isn't what holds it back from being good. Just above Clanging Scales at spot 27, I'm going to put Glamora's Mortal Spin. This is the weakest attack on the list when it comes to base power at 30, but it's the definition of solid utility. Mortal Spin will free Glamora from any Binding Moves effects and Leech Seed, as well as any entry hazards placed on the user's side of the field. In addition to this, Mortal Spin will poison both targets while doing a bit of chip damage. The poison will be good for just racking up some damage and powering up other moves. You can protect stall and force risky plays on your opponent's end thanks to them being on a timer, and chip them into range of your attacks. Entry hazards aren't too common in doubles, but for those rare instances you do see them, you can use this move to clear them away. Unlike Rapid Spin, this move is more worth it to run in doubles since hazard removal isn't its main purpose. Overall, I think this move is better in singles, but still great in doubles as a reliable way to poison both opponents at once. In spot 26, we have the third of the signature Genie moves. This time we are going to Wild Bolt Storm. This is the signature move of Thunderous. 100 base power, 80% accuracy, you know the drill. This move can't miss in the rain, which I think fares better for Thunderous than Landorus, as you can prey on opposing water types who may want to benefit from rain being up, and steer clear from ground types who are scared of taking boosted water attacks. Its 20% chance to paralyze each foe is the best secondary effect of these signature moves in my opinion. Burn is great against physical attackers, but Para can secure speed control and give your opponent chances to miss their turns completely, which gives you a huge advantage. Into the top 25, we have yet another electric type move. This time, it's Electro Web. At 55 base power and 95% accuracy, this move is a great speed control option. It has a 100% chance to lower the target's speed stats by 1 stage. It is walled by ground types, but still used on mons like Regieleki and Raging Bolt to assist their teammates in gaining outspeeds, while also inflicting some solid spread damage. On to spot 24, we have the best Genie move in Bleak Wind Storm. This is the bread and butter of the Tornadus forms and doubles. Flying spread moves are hard to come by, and this gives them a solid option. Tornadus can set up the rain with Prankster, or pair with a rain setter to spam this 100 base power attack at will. Unlike the single targeting Hurricane, it doesn't have a confusion chance, but rather 30% chance to lower the target's speed stats by 1 stage. This is arguably a better secondary effect, as the speed drop will last until they switch, and speed control is really important in doubles formats. Flying Stab also has no immunities, so this move is only blocked by the rare Wind Rider ability. Overall, a great move. Coming in 23rd place is Thousand Waves, bringing us to our third signature Zygarde move on the list. It is a lot better than Land's Wrath, as it has the same 90 base power and added benefit of trapping the foes that get hit. This move isn't seen on Zygarde in singles since it has a better ground type move to spam, but it can be seen in the doubles modes that allow Zygarde, as trapping foes is no doubt useful. You can secure positive matchups to set up with, and it doesn't require you to use an Arena Trap or Shadow Tag mod. Overall, it is a really great move. I'm sure almost every ground type would be salivating to have. Just ironically outclassed on the only mon with access, but I think this is a fair spot for it, as it isn't quite elite, but potentially could be seen as elite in different circumstances. In spot 22, I have the move Blizzard. While this move is amazing in hail, or snow, hitting at 110 base power on the tremendous ice typing, it requires perhaps the most riskier weather to run to be effective. Outside of weather, this is a super sketchy move to run at 70% accuracy instead of a guaranteed hit. The 10% freeze chance is definitely nice, as freeze is a broken status that pretty much eliminates that mon from the game. I originally had this move up as high as 18th due to its recent success, but I feel it is too dependent on its weather to be any higher than the other moves on this list. Nothing fancy coming into spot 21. We see Dazzling Gleam here. A pretty strong fairy type move that doesn't miss. Fairy is a great type, and this is a reliable attack in all situations. There are a lot of great special attackers who love to have this move. If it had a solid secondary effect, I think it could jump into the top 15, but since it is just a good spread move on a great offensive typing, it will stay here. Now we are entering into the top 20. These moves are all extremely good in doubles formats. If you're enjoying this video, just take half a second to subscribe to the channel. It's free and helps me out. We're trying to hit 20k subs by the end of the year, so every new bud helps. Also, let me know your top 10, 15, 20 spread moves, whatever you want to do. Leave it down in the comments. In spot 20, we have the popular Snarl. It is one of the best support attacks in doubles. At 55 base power and 95% accuracy, this move has a 100% chance to lower the foe's special attack stats by 1 stage. The dark typing is really strong offensively, having no immunities and only a few resistances, so it can be used as a solid offensive tool as well. It is mostly seen on support Pokemon who want to make their side bulkier by disrupting the special attackers who don't care about burn or intimidate, so as far as neutralizing them, Snarl is the premier option. Sometimes all I think about is this move. Sometimes all I think about is this move in spot 19. That bad joke is of course brought to you by Heat Wave. At 95 base power and 90% accuracy, this move is usually overlooked in singles, being a less reliable version of Flamethrower. But it has the nice effect of being a really strong spread move in doubles on a great offensive typing. Heat Wave is above strong moves like Blizzard due to its reliability. You can spam the strong attack without needing your weather up, although it does boost the power considerably. It has a nice 10% burn chance as well, which can definitely save you in a few situations. There aren't many accessible spread moves that reach over the 90 base power benchmark while also having a good typing and decent enough accuracy to consider using. So this is just an all around really great move to be packing. Moving up to spot 18, we have the signature move of Regidrago. This is Dragon Energy. Dragon Energy has variable power, being a crazy strong 150 base power when at full health, and getting weaker when losing HP. With Tailwind and Redirection support, and combined with Dragon's Maw, Regidrago makes great use of this nuke of a move. It can sweep teams and is really only countered by fairy types. They are common, but that's why you have your teammates deal with them and clear a path for this move to be a mindless sweep button. Spot 17 is the move Icy Wind. This is perhaps the best support double spread attack that isn't a signature move. At 55 base power and 95% accuracy, this move sees itself over moves like Snarl and Electroweb thanks to its typing and effect. It has a speed drop effect that is so important in doubles, and it has no immunities to it when it comes to typings. Ice is an all-around great offensive type, so this move is also good to hit for damage. There is a good chance you can hit for 4 times effective damage, as a lot of the best Pokemon share 2 typings that are weak to ice. The speed drop is the main hook to this move, and it has great distribution to boot. Truly a defining move in many doubles formats. Just above Icy Wind in spot 16, I have Glaciate. Look, I fought with myself over this, but I felt it would just look silly to rank the upgrade of a move lower than the original. If anyone doesn't know about this move, it's just Icy Wind with 10 more base power. It would be used instead of Icy Wind on any mon that got it obviously, but the only 2 mons that have access are Kyurem and Victini. They both do use it in doubles formats, but are more suited to be offensive powerhouses with their other strong base power attacks. Jumping into the top 15 moves, we will start with Precipice Blades. This is a signature move of Groudon and has the power a legendary signature move should. At 120 base power and 85% accuracy, it does have some risk of missing, but the power output is insane and consistent. The ground typing is really great offensively, and this move has a trade over Earthquake of not hitting your ally, so your team building isn't influenced by that. Groudon will even use this in singles over EQ, as the extra 20 base power is a huge difference and can turn hits into one-shots, especially after a bulk up or Swords Dance. It isn't the hardest move to play around though, unable to hit flying types or levitating Pokemon, but it is such an influential attack in doubles formats that I had to include it in the top 15. Just inside the top 15 at spot 14, we have Dragapult's signature move, Dragon Darts. Now this isn't a traditional spread move and has lots of quirks around it, but I thought I should definitely still include it as it hits both foes normally. It is a super versatile move, and I talk about it in depth in my video going over obscure Pokemon mechanics if you want to learn the intricacies. But pretty much the gist of it is that this move will target both foes for a 50 base power hit. If one of the foes wouldn't be affected due to typing, ability, using protection moves, evasion, or any other reason, it would redirect both attacks into the slot that hits. This move tries to guarantee the max damage, which makes it so useful in metas where protection is very common and there are a solid amount of fairy types running around. It may not be the strongest move, but the smart targeting is really what sets this move apart. In spot number 13, I'm going to put the move Rock Slide. Now, on paper, Rock Slide might not look as impressive as some of these last couple moves. At 70 base power and 90% accuracy, why is it this high? Well, when you see its secondary effect as a 30% flinch chance, you realize how great this move can be. Obviously, slower Pokemon can't really take advantage of this move outside of Trick Room, but fast Pokemon love to spam this move, even if it's not stab. Nothing is immune to rock, and it hits quite a lot super effectively, so at the very least you'll get decent spread damage out of it. But being able to hit everything means you're grabbing 2 30% chances to flinch the opponents down. Flinch is basically a free turn gained while grabbing damage, so you can cheese your way to an unearned victory by playing the Rock Slide lottery. And if you have 2 fast Rock Slide users, your chances increase dramatically, giving you over 50% chances to flinch your opponents if you outspeed. The hack's potential puts it this high on the list. Remember, if there's a Rock Slide, there's a way. Moving up to spot 12, we will now see Kyogre's signature move, Origin Pulse. Origin Pulse is a 110 base power water type move with 85% accuracy. It is a bit weaker than Precipice Blades on paper, but when you factor in that this move is almost always going to be used in the rain, it is a hell of a lot stronger. It may be a little shaky on the accuracy side, but instead of thinking about it like a riskier Surf, I like to think about it as a more accurate Hydro Pump that is able to hit both Mons. This move has been a staple on Kyogre since release in Generation 6, and it doesn't have to worry about a whole typing being immune to it, just some abilities that grant water immunities. Just outside the top 10, I actually almost forgot to include this move coming in at number 11. It isn't always a spread move, so it wasn't noted in Bulbapedia's list I was using to gather them up. This is of course Expanding Force. Expanding Force is an 80 base power single target move normally, but inside of Psychic Terrain, where it is more commonly used, it becomes a spread move. This would be a solid move just like that, as base 80 and 100% accuracy is pretty serviceable on the strong Psychic types that get access. But as long as the user is grounded and Psychic Terrain is up, this move will be boosted 1.5 times in addition to the 1.3 times boost Psychic Terrain gives. This comes out to be an incredible 156 base power, not factoring stab. So even though outside of terrain, this move is only a decently strong single target move, the power when it is paired with Psychic Terrain makes it incredibly hard to manage. Only dark types are safe with their immunity, as even bulky resist will have a hard time taking this move. Now it's time for the stacked top 10. These are all amazing moves that can give their users incredible use just from having access. Spoiler alert, most of these are signature moves, but tons of Mons would be gooning to have access to them and try to become relevant in doubles formats. Number 10 is going to go to Matcha Gotcha. This is Sinestha's signature move. At 80 base power and 90% accuracy, this grass type move acts like a stronger Giga Drain that can burn. It recovers 50% of damage dealt, which is really solid since you're hitting 2 targets. It's the only spread move that is also a draining attack as well, making it unique in that sense. Then there's a 20% chance to burn each target. This is a pretty solid percentage, and there's a decent chance you nab a few burns as you spam this very clickable move. Grass types don't usually get to inflict the burn status unless they have a complementary type, so you're getting plenty of move compression all in one with this move. The 90% accuracy is a little bit of a bummer for sure, but most great moves come with some sort of drawback, and with Sap Sipper being the only immunity to grass, you should rarely be dissuaded from using this move. Now in number 9, we have the move Eruption, the first of only 2 non-signature moves in the top 10. This move is a nutty 150 base power. Just like Dragon Energy, this move will decrease in power if the user's HP is lowered. This means you'll often see redirection support or attempts to make the Eruption user move first and simply nuke the opposition before they have a chance to act. Users like Torkoal and Primal Groudon effectively use the sun to boost their eruptions to strong enough levels to one-shot bulky non-resists. This move isn't distributed too much, but everyone with access loves to use it, and it can single-handedly give you a reason to use mons like Typhlosion due to the wall-breaking potential. Just above Eruption in number 8, we have Water Spout. This is the last non-signature move on the list, and it is a dandy. It works just like Eruption and Dragon Energy with its base power, 150 at max HP. I really had a hard time putting one of these over the other, so I let the polls decide this one. You voted Water Spout over Eruption by a wide margin, so I'm going to let that do the talking. You also had these moves over Origin Pulse and Precipice Blades, so I have been using a little bit of input from these polls I've been posting over the last month, although some of your voting was a little bit crazy. But this move's potential is definitely shown off by Kyogre, who brings the rain with it and can just nuke whatever comes across. I would say that Water is a slightly better offensive typing, as it hits some good common typings while having less resistances against it. Rain is a more versatile weather playstyle as well, making this move in theory more viable. Jumping up to number 7, I have the move Fiery Wrath. This is essentially Super Dark Pulse and belongs exclusively to Galarian Moltres. At 90 base power, 100 accuracy, and having the awesome dark typing, this move boasts a pretty sweet 20% chance to flinch each foe. I would say it's a direct upgrade to a move like Rock Slide. It has 15 more base power, and the consistency of having 100% accuracy means clicking it will never be a question. Nothing is immune to Dark, and you're getting pretty close to Rock Slide's flinch chance when you consider that Rock Slide can miss, so its 30% chance is actually a tad bit lower when you account for that. Dark Pulse is a really solid move already, so adding 10 base power and causing spread damage is pretty nuts. It's really the only move you usually need on Moltres, as the value of not clicking it is usually outweighed unless you were setting up Tailwind to get the outspeed and flinch chances. In spot 6, this is where I'm going to put Make It Rain. This is Golden Go's signature move. It is a super strong 120 base power steel type move with 100% accuracy. I have it over moves like Fiery Wrath, Water Spout, and Eruption due to its reliability and sheer power. You don't have to worry about being fastest on the field to reap the full benefits of this move, and can use it effectively on any team structure. Steel is a solid offensive typing since the introduction of fairies, and has no immunities or abilities that directly counter it. The reason it isn't top 5 is because it does have a downside of lowering your special attack one stage after use. This definitely hurts its spam ability, as you usually can only use it once or twice before switching out or needing to set up a nasty plot, but its consistent power and reliability definitely puts it up here with the top moves. Now we enter the top 5, the best of the best. And remember to leave your list after you see my rankings. I've shown you mine, now it's only fair if you show me yours. Spot number 5 goes to the final Zygarde signature move, 1000 Arrows. At 90 base power, this move might seem a little underwhelming at first. It has a great ground typing and 100 accuracy, so it would already be solid. But its secondary effect is just bananas. 1000 Arrows lacks the detriment all ground type moves have. This is obviously being stumped by flying and levitating mons. 1000 Arrows not only bypasses this, but neutralizes this. Flying types and levitating Pokemon hit by 1000 Arrows will lose their non-grounded status and be vulnerable to all grounded effects. This move will hit them neutrally at first and then follow regular type effectiveness afterwards. So a Zapdos or Skarmory hit by this move will lose its flying type properties and actually be hit super effectively the next time they're hit, since their other types are weak to ground. Normal counters to this move are nullified, as only an Earth Eater or Wonder Guard user can really stop it. Now number 4 is another move I almost forgot, since it isn't always a spread move and is a newer move. This is Terra Starstorm, the signature move of Terrapagos. Listed as a normal type move that has 120 base power and 100% accuracy, this move will become the Stellar type and target both opponents when used by Terrapagos in its Stellar form. Stellar typing will hit every other type neutrally, meaning you know what you're getting damage-wise. It has the added benefit of hitting other terrestrialized Pokemon super effectively, which will come into play in doubles quite often. It also has the effect of becoming physical when the user's attack stat is higher than its special attack, and vice versa, so it will try and give you the better damage option when it can. 120 base power with no drawbacks or resist is pretty crazy, and really is the only move needed on its user. It is as reliable as a move as it gets, and the only real downside is its lack of super effective hits, which really does make a difference damage wise. In spot number 3, I might have a shocker for you. Here I'm going to put Diancie's signature move, Diamond Storm. At 100 base power, 95% accuracy, and having the solid rock typing, this move has the additional effect of having a 50% chance to raise your defense by 2 stages. Rock already has a lot of good super effective hits, 100 base power is really strong for a spread move, and only having a small miss chance as a drawback is a risk pretty much everyone is willing to take. Having a 50% chance for a free iron defense is absolute nuts as well. You become bulkier as you threaten great damage. This in turn will also boost a move like Body Press, which Diancie has and uses alongside Diamond Storm. It may not be as notorious as these other top moves since Diancie is a mythical and hasn't been seen in VGC, but in other doubles formats, this move gives Diancie a solid spot as it's able to beat a lot of would-be counters once it starts attacking and boosting, as its bulk is already pretty impressive. The runner-up move we have for this ranking is none other than Astral Barrage. At 120 base power and 100% accuracy, this move is strong, reliable, and hard to counter. The move itself has no drawbacks. It may have low PP and is shut down by normal types, but in doubles, you usually don't get PP stalled like you would in singles. The normal typing also isn't the most common, outside terrestrialization, and Ghost Resist consists of dark types. So this is a super spammable move in most battles. If we were going based on distribution, this might get the top spot as its sole user, Calyrex Shadow, has amazing offensive stats, perfect to outspeed and abuse it. Overall, this is truly a great move in and out of doubles, belonging up here. You can argue it to be the #1 pick on your own list, and I wouldn't have any qualms with that. I personally do think there is one move slightly better though. Now this is the moment you've waited for, the #1 spread move. This goes to none other than Calyrex Ice Rider's signature move, Glacial Lance. 120 base power and 100% accuracy with no drawbacks on perhaps the best offensive typing in the game. Yeah, no way this move is getting outranked. No immunities either like Astral Barrage. The only thing this move doesn't have is an additional effect. That would be totally broken, and this move really doesn't need anything else. It was nerfed in power a bit, but it still reigns supreme as the best spread move in Pokemon. Ice typing is just too good, as hitting super effectively is huge for securing KOs. Sure, you have a few more resists than Ghost does, but even being able to freely run a choice item and not worry about an immunity coming in is a huge advantage. But what do I know? I primarily play singles. Let me know your list, and if you came this far, drop a like and become a bud and hit that sub. Also consider becoming a Patreon supporter and have your name shown and read at the end of these videos while helping me put out more riveting content like this. Also feel free to join the Bud Zone Discord to talk mons and participate in tournaments with the community. I'll catch you later, buds.